I've been asked to talk on the issue of law reform and how it relates to our natural resource sector, so presentation plus Sapusumiki and Putika Mantap. I've got a couple of things to share with us this afternoon, and I hope I can cover a little bit of what the Chief Magistrate, if he's here, or the Deputy, if they're here. I think they're on the session with me as well, but if they're not here, then maybe I can take some of your questions. And I know that the Commissioner of Policy is supposed to be here as well. If there's some questions that relate to their work, I can get it because I am the chairman of the law and justice sector. And so we have a 15-sector agency that I coordinate as the chairman of the National Coordinating Committee of these 15 law and justice sector agencies. So I'm happy to take some questions in relation to our work in the sector. But today I would like to spend a bit of time on discussing the work that we do. As the Department of Justice, I thought I might discuss it a little bit, but of course, we all know the problems that confront us every year and every week. I was hearing the Prime Minister and our President of the Chamber talking this morning, and I can assure you that I also go to sleep in the night worrying about what's happening all throughout the country because of the role that I play as the leader of the sector. And I read a lot of the commentaries on the social media platforms, and I sit on about 20 social media platforms on the WhatsApp groups, and I follow Facebook because I am also on Facebook. I tried Twitter, but I failed on that one. I'm trying to maybe try X now. So basically, I just watch what's happening. And then when it relates to our sector, I basically talk to our leaders. Can you respond to this issue that has been raised by someone? I forward the message to them just to give me an update on what's happening. And so it takes a lot of energy, but that's where we are. I think one of the most important considerations that we need to appreciate, and I speak on behalf of all of you Papua New Guineans, and particularly those of us, as the Prime Minister was saying, those of us whom I call are the crossroads generation. Please appreciate that we are still developing Papua New Guinea. And people are walking up in it. We're still Brooking Mountain, Brooking Warana, Mikim Bris, na Burki Solwarana, Mikim Ples Balus, and Mushat by Mikim. This is our time. And so we are developing this country. All of you sitting in this room, whatever role you're playing, we're still progressively breaking down the mountains, breaking the trees, breaking the stones to put the road, to put the bridge. And so we are going to be exposed to all kinds of challenges. And so why not? If we run away, if we talk about it, who's going to do it? That's our job. And so I feel proud that I am a member of the Crossroads generation that is building the country for my 7 children. And so the challenge that we have is something that we have to confront each day of our lives as individuals. And so no kan ting plan mas, no kan ting long toko iga devi olsem. Yes, many other countries went through that too. And this is our time. And so I also want to thank the industry and all those who are involved in the development of this country. This is a beautiful place, a wonderful and lovely country. And so thank you for spending your time in our beautiful country to help us to develop a country that may not be like Singapore, may not be like Dubai, but a paradise that is so, so unique to us, something that we can rise up each morning and be proud of. And so that's what drives me every day. Not about worries about the law and order, somebody tearing up the bridge, somebody killing somebody. Yes, these are very important considerations, but I think of the 11 million people where almost 99% of our people are peaceful and resilient. And I think that's where I take my courage from, knowing that we've got a greater number of people who are better We've got a greater number of people who are good in this country. And so I can spend my time to do what I can to make it a better place. And so, like Borim Yumilos Lalishisha, Larem, Yumigo. So me think also, suppose Yumilukim Lalishius, we all confront them all the time. Without shame, I've been telling the people at Defense Force, can you stop recruiting people and can we invest in IT? Can we get into drones and the technology? Because nowadays you can have all your army and you can have all your planes and you can have all your whatever you have. But if the US sends the drones, they'll just blow us up everywhere. And so I'd rather we spend more money in IT and that space. Anyway, Milusum Handlong online Blomilo Defense Force na Orlando Police. But that's where the world is heading. We need to rethink about our security, rethink about the way we deal with the threats that confront us on a daily basis. All right, so I thought I might just share a little bit about what we do at the department because this is an opportunity that I can share with you what the Department of Justice and Attorney General does. Now, the Department of Justice and Attorney General is the primary key agency of government that basically transacts across all the government sectors and across the private sector as well. Because MIPLA working work long law and order, the MIPLA Justice Administration. And of course, when we do our programs and activities, we cover in plenty line, plenty areas. So when I was asked by the president to speak to you this afternoon, I was like thinking to myself, well, there's a lot of work that is going around in our sector, but I might just focus on one or two things that might relate to you and some are new to a couple of you in this room. So I thought I might spend some time on that. So me just put him on top of the soul. So yes, you can see we are looking after 100 plus laws, Department of Justice. And so we need to have the people and the capacity to review those laws and make sure that we reform the laws to respond to our present day challenges. So MIPLA Pechimsla reform. So I'm going to share with you some of this reform work that we have undertaken over the last 5 years. So I thought I might just again share with you the different offices in the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice is made up of the department and the Office of the Attorney General. So the Department of Justice and Attorney General. The Attorney General is the minister. If he is not a minister, then the Secretary for Justice is also the Attorney General of Papua New Guinea. And so some of you will recall that a couple of years ago, when Brian Kramer was the Minister for Justice, I was the Secretary for Justice and Attorney General. And so I was given the privilege to sit in cabinet and make decisions with the cabinet for 2 years. And so that's the difference in our office. Now, why is the Attorney General a different office? The Attorney General looks after all state advising. So when mining and petroleum sector, the departments, MRA, the new petroleum agency that has now been established in the department, when they engage with the resource sector, the Department of Justice provides the legal advice through the Office of the State Solicitor. The State Solicitor clears all the contracts, clears all advice that relate to any action that the government will take. So the State Solicitor reports directly to the Attorney General. All court cases that involves the state, and we know that a lot of the companies that are operating in the country, you are joined as a party to maybe the Minister for Mining, to the Minister for Petroleum, you are a party to the state. We defend those cases through the Office of the Solicitor General. I can tell you the cost of the estimate cost of legal action, and if you cost it in this country, we are currently defending a cost totaling to 10 billion. 10 billion kina. That's the total estimated amount that when we look at the number of cases against the state and we are defending, that is the total cost that we are defending every day. 10 billion. We need to defend the state to ensure that we do not lose so that we can save that money to support the health sector, the education sector, and all the other programs. Because otherwise, that money will be paid to the parties that win against the state. And so our office defends all actions against the state. And that's been done by the Office of the Solicitor General. Then, of course, we've got another office called the Legal Policy and Governance. That particular office deals with all government agencies like commerce and industry in terms of their policy, their laws, the review that he's been mentioning. It comes to office. We need to clear it first. We need to ensure that it's aligning with all the other policies before we support the movement of that particular initiative by a government agency. So that's what we do. Work me plan and plenty. And I think you will have heard recently that we also look after human trafficking, and we also look after anti-money laundering. So you will have read in the papers, you would have heard about Papua New Guinea potentially going into the gray list. Department of Justice is the co-chair of the committee that manages this. And so we're trying our best at the moment to try and see if we do go into the gray list, it will be a very short time. In the end, we're out. So that's something that we also manage. We also deal with all requests from overseas. If there's a foreigner here, working here, and there's a criminal offense that he committed in that country and is now here in Papua New Guinea, we, the Department of Justice, facilitate their repatriation. We facilitate their extradition back to their country. And also, Papua New Guineans who have committed crimes and are living overseas, my department works with the other countries to repatriate those Papua New Guineans back to Papua New Guinea. So I will walk Mipla Mekim. We'll share with you a couple of things that we do just to lik PR blo Mipla lo here. Am I right? Of course, we also look after probation services. We look after the parole services, juvenile justice, and of course, village courts and land mediation. And Mipla look at him. I'll share a little bit about the village courts and land mediation just after this. And of course, we look after the gender-based violence in Papua New Guinea in terms of the National Committee. It's being headed by my office. And so you will recall a couple of weeks ago when there was a lady that was being tortured in Magarima. We actually got involved immediately the moment it was posted on the social media. We triggered our network to go down and rescue the lady. But unfortunately, it was a bit late. But we were able to rescue 4 others who were about to be tortured as well. So we don't tell you this, but we have a network with the NGO and the private sector that we work as a network to try and protect our vulnerables. We had a couple of weeks ago, you will have noticed that there was a young girl that was being given as part of the compensation in Jiwaka. And we quickly activated our system, and we got our village court officials to go down quickly and find out whether our village court officials were involved in the transaction. Because I was telling them that if our village court officials are involved, we will terminate them immediately. Fortunately, our village court officials were saying, we are not involved, but we are here rescuing the girl. And so we were able to rescue that young girl away from the parties who were trying to take her as part of the compensation package. And so that's something that we do. That's why we talk here. We say, look, social media and I watch. But no thing was implemented so work. Me looking, me play try long activate system lo me play. So that's something that I do every time before I go to bed. So that's something that we do as a department and as a sector, supporting the work in this space. Of course, we also work with the provinces. We try and engage with the provinces to deal with law and order issues. And that's something that we do all the time, so that's part of our work. So I thought we just lead you to this MTD4. People will know about this already, so I'm not going to waste some time. But for us, it's the SPA number 5 and 6 on the rule of law. And so for us, we take the cue from the MTDB4 because we are a government. We cannot operate outside of government policy. And for us, this is the overarching overall policy of government, and we change in law policy, long address law issues. So that's our cue. We take it from this particular policy. So let me just give you a rundown on the reforms that we have been able to introduce in the last couple of years. This is something very new, so let me just pause here and explain to you because there was a decision by Cabinet in December last year that affects the mining and petroleum sector. Under the Maritime Zones Act of 2015, we have divided the country. So we have now secured the boundary of Papua New Guinea. Last year, through our office and with the Department of Foreign Affairs, we were able to register the territorial or boundary of Papua New Guinea, one term International Seabed Authority. We have done that already, so now we know the coordinates. When you put it on PNG, we know the boundaries between us and our neighbors. That's now being registered at the UN, and we have got the authorization last year. Under that, we have now come up with the oceans policy. Now, I know that ocean, you think it's a big space, so you go around inside. Those of you who might not be aware, Papua New Guinea, Lonambis, we have already divided the ocean into spaces. Inside, close to Lela Beach, na kam go saplo here, you plus Awaswasia, Nambisia. Now go inside. We call it internal waters. Internal waters. Now go outside 12 miles. We call it the territorial waters. And then go out Liglik, we plus call him contiguous zone. Go outside Liglik, 200 miles, and we plus call him EEZ, exclusive economic zone. Backside here, and we plus call him ISIS. So solwara tu mi pla burkum stop. Nugu di plating mi pla burkum mountain ta sol stop na. Solwara pla no burkum. Solwara tu mi pla burkum. So time all sipi ron. O sem balu si ron na ilukim gas if ilo backside blong na go. So im sem mi fly over Papua New Guinea so mi pla collect him tax. So when the planes are flying over PNG, we collect about 10 to 12 million kina annually from the tax on top. Solwara ibla ron ya. Mi pla to collect him tax. Em got long plahan the legs, so you mean you can talk to plenty losla. Osenalo solwara, mi plagat. All right. There is a particular committee that's been established under the Oceans Policy, and that's the National Oceans Office, and the Marine Scientific Research Committee. Since 2020, we have now taken a position that if you want to do any more exploration, you must get permission from my office in the Solwara. The Cabinet has already approved that any mining exploration, any petroleum exploration, Lo Solwara, you must get the permit from me first. I thought I might mention that. Currently, we only have Solwara project that already had permits issued to them prior to 2020. So we have no control over that. But anything later, please, all industry, take note. You need to apply to the Marine Research Scientific Committee to get permission to conduct explorations in Papua New Guinea. Then, of course, another reform that we brought in to deal with the issue of security. We understand the issues surrounding police, defense, the correctional services. According to our data at the Department of Justice, the number one perpetrator of legal action against the state, the perpetrator is the police. Police, they cost the state of the 10 billion Much of it is from police brutality. And so the government has taken a decision in 2020 that maybe we need to fix head Lomania. So in 2020, the Parliament approved for the establishment of the Joint Forces College, Disciplined Forces University. So over the last couple of years, we've been slowly trying to set up the Joint Forces College, where we're going to allow the grade 12s that are now entering the security forces, that we will now train them to get diplomas, degrees in their own college, where they are trained specifically to deal with the issues of law and order in this country. So the government has done that. We are now working towards establishing the Joint Forces College. The concept is to get IGAM, Goldie, and the Bomana colleges as the feeder colleges of the Joint Forces College. So that's being done, and we have agreed, the disciplined forces have agreed, and we are slowly setting up the college. Another law that came in around the same time that I thought I might just share it with you is in relation to illicit drugs. Illicit drugs are becoming a major concern for Papua New Guinea. The government has responded to that by introducing the Controlled Substance Act. Now, what is peculiar about this law is that law now deals with the drugs based on the volume. So suppose you hold him lick smoke. Now you smoke him lick. That lick will give you the penalty rate. Suppose you lick penalty. Suppose you smoke in big pla, you carry big pla bag, big pla penalty. That's what we have now done with the Controlled Substance Act. And so you will note that we have successfully now prosecuted and sent to jail the pilot that was involved in the Papa Lea Lea plane that was carrying those illicit drugs, the ice. So he's now serving, the first time in this country, he's now serving 18 years in prison. We have just sent another foreigner to 18 years in prison for peddling with the illicit trade, and we are now hoping that we'll get another 4 Papua New Guineans to also serve a longer sentence. So me plotting also, if we can deal with the issue of drug trade, and we have the highest penalty under the Controlled Substance Act, we wanted to put a death penalty. We wanted to put the death penalty so we could become like Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, but our leaders said no. So the highest penalty will be life imprisonment. And for those of you who will be getting there, I'm the chairman of parole board, so let me explain to you if you go to life imprisonment. If you go to life imprisonment, you will not be released on parole. But you stop, Olgata. So I'm really warning that. So anyway, so what we have now done is that we are now brought in this law, and it's becoming quite popular amongst our judges and our magistrates. Before we would go to the national court for these matters, this one is the district court. District court has the power to sentence you to 25 years, and they will sentence you under this law. Simple case, send you straight away. So that's something we have not done to support, secure the country. Hopefully it will work over long term. And then of course, over the last couple of years, people have been complaining about the Singarock gun report. They've been saying, what happened to the report? What happened to the report? I can tell you that we did respond to the Singarock report by amending the penalty provisions under the Firearms Act, and we have now increased it to the total fine now will be 1 million kina, and then again life sentence for those who produce homemade ammunition. You'll be sentenced to life. So that's again our response to dealing with firearms and how we can be able to control the use of that. Another issue that will affect the resource areas is in relation to Special Land Titles Commission. I know that up there in the Southern Highlands, we still got an issue with Gobe, and so the government is looking to the Department of Justice when I'm going to set up the Special Land Titles Commission. I also know that there is an issue at K92, and then also the one at Wafu Golfu. We've got those 3 Land Titles Commission matters. I want to inform you that today, those will be covered under the new Land Commission Act. So under the Land Commission Act, we have now repealed the National Land Dispute Settlement Act and the National Lands Commission Act, and we have also repealed the Land Registration Act. So the Special Land Titles Commission will now fall under the new Lands Commission. We've just set them up. We've appointed the commissioner the last 2 years, and he's setting up office. So hopefully when we're ready, we will then establish the Special Land Titles Commission to deal with those landowner issues in the project areas. So I'm really talking about in terms of the reforms that we brought forward to try and address those issues. And then, of course, something very new, very, very new. Let me warn you. COP is not here, so let me warn you. You better be careful about this law. Any questions about your actions that is defined as terrorism, the whole weight of the state will come down on you. Because under this act, we have now defined domestic terrorism. So the tribal wars will now no longer be tribal wars, that's domestic terrorism. The commissioner now has powers to shoot to kill. The commissioner now has the power to send his Kumul 23 to attend to any conflicts in this country. We haven't tried out the law yet. We are slowly trying it out, but please, people, watch out and stop. Of course, we are working with the UN system as well to sign off on this treaty, to tackle transnational crime. And you will notice that we are bumping up our systems to ensure that we protect our borders. You will notice that 3 months ago, we arrested 2 young girls from Portugal. They came through, they went to Fiji, they went to Australia, came back up, and then they were trying to smuggle some drugs out of Papua New Guinea. Our system was able to pick them up, and we were able to detain them. And they are now currently at Bomana prison, awaiting prosecution. So system we plus them stop. We plus trying to make sure that we cover ourselves quite well. And also some of you probably know about Maylene, the lady that was picked up in Brisbane. And of course, just 2 weeks ago, or in fact last week, we were able to deport Oli Moses, the kingpin of drug trafficking in Papua New Guinea and in the region. I'm the chairman of the citizenship and the chairman of the immigration board, so I was advised last week by the CMO that we were able to deport this Nigerian who was here before, caused us problems. Somehow we went and changed his name, and we were able to pick him up at Wutong. And we have now been able to deport him. And hopefully, we should be able to knock him off. So that's in relation to transnational crime. Something interesting happening here. We have also amended the Claims by and Against the State Act. So those of you in the industry, when you're being sued, the state is also sued as a party. And so we are given Section 5 notice. We have now clarified what the Section 5 notice is, just to avoid frivolous actions, vexatious, useless proceedings by busybodies challenging your mining project, your petroleum project, because they are not happy. They think that they want to come again and challenge us again and again and again. Well, we have now clarified that you cannot just sue us just because you want to sue us. You must now meet certain requirements under this act. And so that's now been done to protect what we do in this country and give certainty to our projects and our agreements. So that's something we brought forward. The other thing that we have not done, and this is for the multinational companies who are here, please take note. And this is something that I'm trying to enforce in our sector. The Department of Justice is the guardian of the legal profession in Papua New Guinea. So their own operations are covered under the PNG Law Society, but all policy and governance is managed by the Department of Justice. We have now amended the Lawyers Act. We are now asking lawyers to now operate from a office, not in the truck, not in the taka shop. Lawyers must operate from a office where we can come and get service. We've also put in place there that all foreign lawyers must be admitted to the bar in PNG. That includes your corporate legal managers who are foreigners. Foreign legal managers, we want you to also be admitted. If you are not admitted, you cannot be carrying yourself as the manager, head of the legal division of your corporation. So we'll be sending out letters to you to encourage you to tell your lawyers to register with us first. And you will have to sit. Those lawyers will have to sit for an exam that we now manage at the Department of Justice called the Fit and Proper Person exam. For all government lawyers who come in, those even foreign lawyers coming working with government agencies, they also sit for exams. We will certify you to be admitted to the bar. Then you can practice law. Just like any Papua New Guinean going and working in Australia and New Zealand, you cannot hold yourself out to be a lawyer. I was doing my PhD in New Zealand, and some people from my church, "You're a lawyer, can you appear and defend one of our church members?" And I said, "What? You have to appear." I said, "No, I don't appear like that. It's not as simple as that. I need to be also admitted in New Zealand to practice law. So I can't give advice. I'm sorry. I'm a student here, so but no good me Burkim law. One kind, all the foreign lawyers who are working in PNG, you need to be admitted to the bar. We'll have to admit you. Otherwise, it's an offense. It's an offense for you to carry out yourself as a lawyer. And we have now also included a criminal offense for lawyers who don't get instructions from the state. So those of you out there, if you're going to be engaging lawyers and who are going to appear for the state or who are going to be appearing in support of the state, they must get the brief out from the Attorney General. Without the brief out, the penalty is $500,000 kina. Basically to strengthen the profession, basically to ensure that we maintain ethics and professionalism in the legal practice. So that's something that we brought about in 2021, and we're enforcing it at the moment. Of course, we also did a change to the Attorney General's Act, and something that you don't need to know. It's just to fix our office. Then, of course, I want to spend a bit of time on this. This is something very important and very close to my heart. And my people from the office are sitting here listening to this presentation because, please, I know that you all wanted to hear the COP this afternoon because you all thinking that, yes, COP will address all your issues. I am here to tell you about my troops. Police Commissioner has troops up to 6,000. My troops, 19,000. Who are they? The Department of Justice manages 19,000 village court officials. We pay them 65 million annually of government funds to put out the fires in every part of Papua New Guinea. They were there before independence, and they're here, and they will continue to be. We have lost sight of them, all of us in this room, and we are talking to the big boys. We forget that the small boys down there are killing out more fires than we are aware of. My 19,000 people, they deal with over 100,000 cases annually. Your district court, if the chief magistrate was here, will tell you that they deal with about 14,000 cases. In the national court, almost the same amount or a little bit over. But my village court people, they deal with 100,000 or more cases on an annual basis. They're the ones who are putting out fires all throughout the country because they operate in 1,670 village court areas in this country. All AV big player, you block the film, you block talk. But what about the AV that never came to you? You kirap nungkut na AV kamablo you, but you asking me too. Setelah AV nu sakam ya, musyad sa mikim AV nu sakam lo mi. These are the silent frontliners for the law and justice sector. I coined them in 2020 as the heartbeat of the rule of law in Papua New Guinea. The heartbeat of the rule of law in Papua New Guinea is the village court system. all down in plant heavy, but you milusum titilongol. And so I'm hoping that I was talking to the president that in the resource development projects that you will support the Department of Justice to help us to strengthen the village court system, because they're the ones who are keeping peace. They're the ones who are silently and quietly walking the bush tracks, walking up the mountains in the night. They're attending to conflicts. And they resolve them so we don't read about them. They resolve them so we don't know. And so I hope that you will help me on this, because we have now taken a policy decision in 2020 that we will now target 7,000 grade 12 dropouts that cannot make it to the universities, cannot make it to the institutes of higher learning. We are now going to give them a second chance. So the village court officials, who are the peace officers and the clerks, their total number is 7,000. We're going to get 7,000 grade 12 dropouts. Yet you call them dropouts, which we don't. They are useful members of the community. We're going to pick them up and we're going to train them. So if you saw in the papers last week or the week before, we have signed a deal with CELAC, and CELAC and us have been working for the last 3 years to develop a program for these grade 12s, that when they come and join our system, we will send them to do a certificate in court management at CELAC, and then they'll go and work for 2 years. Then we will send them to Divine Word University to do a diploma. And we have already struck a deal with Divine Word University. We've got a program with Divine Word University. So we're going to send this 7,000 people through. And we are hoping that after 5 years, they leave us so we can get the next 7,000. So in that way, we are addressing the issue of unemployment, youth just hanging around. We want to give them that second chance. So we're going to roll out the first training this month, coming month, in August. We're going to roll out the first training for Central and for West New Britain. So that's something we're trying to do, and I hope that in your areas of operation, you plus Papua New Guinea, you plus Taplam, you plus Oklahoma, work one time also community programs here, your community development programs. Please don't forget the village court system. Engage with the village court officials. They're magistrates, they're being paid by us. The government pays them. The clerks, the peace officers are being paid by the government. Their total cost is 80 million. At the moment, we can only pay 65. And so we're asking the provincial governments to pick up the balance of 15 million to pay for the 19,000 public servants. So when you look at the public service in this country, the teaching force is about 60,000. The health sector, their total ceiling is 17,000 or 25,000, but they can only get 11,000. That's for the health sector. For the law and justice, my village court system, we are full, 19,000. But nobody gives them the support. Nobody recognizes them. So when the president was talking this morning about your heroes in your industry, I want to also celebrate my heroes who are down there in the village and quelling all the problems. And so you are able to drive your road to your workplace. You are happy to go and come because somebody is at the background quelling all the problems, That for me are my heroes. These 19,000 are my heroes. And so I hope that you can pick it up and you can work with me and the department and the government in trying to sort this out. And then, of course, just to close off on this issue, we have now started a new sector policy. That's why I'm telling you that I can talk about the police and ministerial services, because we've just introduced the new law and justice sector policy, 2025 to 2035. The main focus of this policy at the moment is crime prevention. And so I hope that the sector will engage with our law and justice sector to look at programs that will prevent problems from happening. And so that's the major focus of this new law and justice sector policy. All right, so I thought I might close up with this very interesting news that came up last Thursday. Something that the Prime Minister was sharing this morning, that Papua New Guinea gives a zero carbon rating, or it's negative. Well, this very important case has now come up, and when I was going to the International Court of Justice last year, the advice that came to me was, why are you going and fighting against the emitters? Aren't we emitters as well? Because we produce oil and gas, and we do mining, and we do logging. So how are you going to go and defend Papua New Guinea? Well, I said we do, but I agree with the PM. Maybe our footprints are minimal. And so we had to go to the International Court of Justice last year and represent Papua New Guinea and present our case that we want to hold the polluters responsible for all the havoc that is happening today. And I can assure you that the International Court of Justice has now ruled in favor of Papua New Guinea and all the other small island Pacific countries and all the developing countries that yes, the emitters must be held accountable. And so I know that our big boys are in the room. Does that affect them as well? My team is currently reviewing the decision of the ICJ because we want to come and have a chat with you on how we can be able to mitigate some of the things that we're doing around the place. Because that is a international, legally binding decision for all of us. Not enforceable, but legally binding, not enforceable. But we want to see how we can be able to talk to the big boys in the room and how we can be able to unpack this decision so that you support us in climate resilience programs because the footprints are everywhere. And so that's a very important decision that came last Wednesday, and you would have read in the papers, the minister and I came to the press expressing our gratitude to the International Court of Justice headed by 15 judges all over the world, and they were able to rule in our favor. And so those of you who are out there, particularly big boys and girls, please, when I call you, when I come to talk to you, we will try and unpack this decision when we come and talk to you to see how we can be able to help, to make sure that this decision bears fruit in Papua New Guinea. It's not something far away at the Hague, but it's happening here because our people are affected right here in Papua New Guinea. Their land, their homes are being washed away. They're being affected. So we need to support our communities. So I'm one lilik talk me like closing presentation plan. Thank you to Mas Laren Blipla. Please feel free to ask questions. And as I said, my team is not here, the law and justice sector, but I can take your questions if I can. Thank you, Tana.